James, let me start by asking you why it's called the beautiful tree.
Well, it's a historical. There's a historical chapter in the book, which takes you on an intellectual journey, and this goes back to 1931 when Mahatma Gandhi was speaking at Chatham House in London, and he came out with this comment that before the British came to India, India was more literate and more schooled than since the British had arrived. And he said that when the British came, they saw the village schools that were there, and they were not good enough for them. And so they uncovered the root of the beautiful tree, and it perished. And what he was saying was that there was this indigenous system of schools before the British came, and he described them as the beautiful tree. Now, whether I go into now the journey, the historical journey, or whether we come to that later, but it was a phrase from Mahatma Gandhi, and what I think we're seeing now in India and elsewhere is ordinary people recovering what was going on before the British imposed a particular statist model of education. I think we're seeing the beautiful tree of Gandhi being recovered, flourishing again.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we can come back to the history. I just thought people might be intrigued by the title as I was. I might be curious to know.
Yeah, and of course, if anyone thought this book was about the rainforest, environmental issues, obviously you can leave now. But
it is a splendid image, though. A beautiful tree, a splendid image.
Yes.
Well, you're a scholar. You're a professor of education attached to Newcastle University. I understand you're about to embark on another period of leave to pursue this work. Tell us how you came to embark on this journey in the first place. How did that arise?
It was exactly 10 years ago last week, really. I'd become a bit of an expert on private education in developing countries. And I was on various commissions for the International Finance Corporation, which is the private finance arm of the World Bank. And I was sent to India to look at private education, but it was always elite private education. I was there looking at the Indian School of Business, which actually is now in the top, number 12, I think, in the Financial Times global MBAs in the world. You know, it was just then something that needed investment. And I was there looking at private schools for the rich, and yet my whole life, for whatever reason, I'd wanted to do something for the poor. This is what motivated me. So on Republic Day 2000, January the 26th, I took an auto rickshaw down into the slums of the old city of Hyderabad, where I was based at the time. And actually, I did have a hunch about what I would see. And there, you know, almost down the first street corner, down these narrow little lanes, open sewers, people everywhere, there was a private school. And then another one, and then another one. And I suddenly realized there's something extraordinarily exciting going on here. No one had told me that the poor were using private schools. And I thought, this is something incredibly exciting. I need to know more about this. And thus, really, the last decade of journey has carried on.
But you were moonlighting, weren't you? I mean, you were there for the you were there for the IFC, and so you were supposedly examining the effectiveness of some very expensive private schools, if I recall.
To be fair to myself, it was Republic Day. It was a holiday. You know, so I was allowed to go then. But you're right. I mean, every spare moment I had after that, so I was there for 10 days on that trip. Every spare moment I had, I went down into the old city. I met with, they're called the correspondents, the entrepreneurs who are running these schools. I met with them, talked with them, went on journeys to see more and more schools. And moonlighting, yes, but finding something really that was incredibly important, I thought.
Right.